More events have been held in support of Gaza and against the Israeli genocide in the besieged Palestinian enclave. In France, a group of Parisians assembled to voice their support for Palestinian resistance against Israel.
Manuel et François, et collaborez, c'est votre choix. Résister, c'est notre droit.
The protesters also called for the boycott of all Israel-made products. They said that Western propaganda machines try to make people forget about the 7-year-long siege on the Gaza Strip. The crowd also lashed out at the government for supporting Tel Aviv and its crimes in the Palestinian enclave. Over the past month, France has witnessed a series of anti-Israeli protests, with some turning violent. A similar event was also held in the U.S. state of California. Pro-Palestinians marched through the streets of Los Angeles to denounce the bloodshed against Gazans. Labor activists in the U.S. and Canada are blocking an Israeli ship from docking in U.S. harbors. The Israeli boat has officially delayed its scheduled arrival in Oakland, California. Our correspondent Caleb Maupin has this report.
Dock workers in the International Longshore Warehouse Union have announced that they will join with community members and pro-Palestinian activists to blockade the Israeli cargo vessel called the Zim anywhere it attempts to dock in the U.S. or Canada. Transit worker Marty Goodman described how dock workers in Oakland, California are planning to take action on Saturday.
The workers themselves will refuse to load the ship, and there'll be a big solidarity rally in support of those workers. This has happened before, and now the mood against Israeli barbarism is greater than before.
In New York City, Palestine activists and labor unionists gathered outside the Israeli mission to support the blockade in Oakland. New York City teacher Gary Letwin says labor unions have a responsibility to take action against Israel.
Well, labor should support Palestine for the same reason everybody should support Palestine. It's a question of human rights, of human justice, of equality. And so labor, non-labor, anybody who has a concern for justice and peace.
The Israeli ship has already been blockaded in several parts of the world, including South Africa. The planned stop in Oakland, California, has been officially delayed. Unionists say these actions will likely cost the Israeli corporation that owns the vessel millions of dollars. Caleb Maupin, Press TV, New York.
Our correspondent Ashraf Shannon joins us now from Gaza to bring us up to speed on the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Ashraf, also tell us about the difficulties that the people of Gaza are facing in the prospect of rebuilding their lives after the Israeli onslaught on the besieged enclave.
Well, but yeah, the situation is terrible in the Gaza Strip after more than a month of almost non-stop Israeli attacks, bombardments from the air, from the sea, from the ground. The shell-shocked Gazans are basically don't know what to do with the overwhelming destruction and loss that they had. According to OCHA, the UN organization, there's about 250,000 Palestinians in Gaza who have lost their homes and currently staying in UN schools and other shelters. They are internally displaced persons, and they have no place to return to. Even if building supplies, building equipment were brought into the Gaza Strip, it's logistically impossible to remove the rubble, to remove the debris of their homes and rebuild them again. So this situation is going to last for at least 6 months in case a ceasefire is renewed and things are improving politically for the people of Gaza. During this war on Gaza, at least around 2,000 people were killed. A lot of them are children and women, and nearly 10,000 or maybe more than 10,000 people were injured. Many of them suffered from serious injuries. They continue, some of them die on a daily basis. Okay, there is no shooting from the Israelis, at least up to this moment. But there was several breaches of the ceasefire by the Israeli Navy and Israeli tanks firing at homes east of the southern Gaza Strip towns of Khan Yunis and Rafah. So the situation is dire. Electricity, 70% of Gazans have hardly any electricity. They get it for 4-hour period and an outage for 12-hour period. This is affecting the entire situation in Gaza. Is affecting the delivery of water supplies to homes. It's affecting the treatment of sewage. Huge quantities of raw sewage is dumped into the Mediterranean. The environment is affected. It's unbelievable, the situation here. Gaza is a disaster zone.
Ashraf, also tell us about the situation with the medical facilities and the major hospitals. We know that basic necessities are non-existent and at best scarce. How are medical personnel coping with the influx of the injured as more bodies and more injured are being recovered as a result, as Palestinians have the chance to assess the scope of the damage that has been inflicted upon them by the Israeli war?
But yeah, most of those who were killed during the Israeli attacks on Gaza, most of the bodies were retrieved, decomposed bodies. Now they have to deal with the thousands of people who are injured. They're trying to get them out through Egypt to some countries for treatment. Some medical teams are attempting to get into Gaza through Rafah, crossing with Egypt, although the Egyptian authorities are giving the aid convoys and the medical teams hard times to get into the Gaza Strip. And actually just now, while we were talking, the Israeli gunboats, I heard them firing. It's not far from here. We are at Shifa Hospital. Shifa Hospital is located very close to the Mediterranean Sea, and I was able to hear them firing at least 5 or 6 shells somewhere in the area.
Thank you very much. Ashraf Shannon, our correspondent, joining us from Gaza.